O kia ora koutou katoa, ko Quentin Campbell toka wengua, he hononga o te Raki Northern Regional Alliance, ACE RMO, e mai aho. No mai, haere mai, welcome along. Today's presentation is with Timaru Hospital. And today we've got DHB and RMO representatives from our South Canterbury region to talk you through the ACE process for applying for positions this year, as well as a bit of an explanation or a bit of a korero with regards to what it's like working with South Canterbury DHB. So at this point in time, I'll hand over to Penny and her team just to introduce themselves, and we'll move along with the webinar.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Firstly, we'll have a wee chat about what we look for in our recruitment process and what we look for in your applications, and we'll also answer any questions that you've submitted earlier in the week. My name's Penny Barlow, and with me I have two of our RMO officers.
My name's Sabrina, I'm a PGY2.
Hi, I'm Emily, I'm one of the PGY1s.
Hi there, I'm Matthew Staunton. I'm a PGY2 from Ireland, working in Timaru Hospital, and I'm here to tell you why Timaru is for Timaru.
It's a really nice and supportive community. It's quite a small hospital, so you get to know everyone, which is really good for interdisciplinary team working and also good for making new friends, getting to know people and having a good time with everyone you work with.
We get to do a lot of things we wouldn't get to do in other hospitals. We get to do a lot of procedures. We get to be really involved in patient care, get to be involved in the high dependency unit, as well as just a broad range of involved in ED, psych, everything, which is a lot of fun to be part of.
It's a nice small hospital, friendly environment, you get to do lots of hands-on procedures.
And it's also a great place to make friends. What's up, Joel?
Timaru is actually a really nice place. It's nice to lots of lovely spots on the South Island. You can go skiing, go Wanaka, Queenstown, Tekapau. So that's definitely a perk.
You can sort of get to know all the consultants, and you have direct line to the consultant as well. So I really appreciate that.
Definitely consider coming to Timaru. Really cool place to work, very friendly, good colleagues. It's just like a family, everyone knows you and you know everyone. You're not lost.
Come visit if you can, see what it's like, see what you think of the small hospital vibe if you've never been to one before.
If you think you have what it takes to come work at Timaru Hospital, apply now. You won't regret it. I sure didn't.
We've prepared a small presentation for yourselves. So what makes South Canterbury a great region? Timaru Hospital is situated in a large picturesque coastal town. It's 2 hours from Christchurch and from Dunedin. Here in South Canterbury, we're lucky to be close to numerous outdoor activities such as skiing, tramping and climbing, plus within easy reach of the lakes, mountains. We have 2 holiday homes in Tekapau, which staff are able to rent, and we've got a good range of cafes and restaurants. Why South Canterbury? You'll gain very valuable hands-on experience directly with our consultants. You'll feel like a valued member of our team where consultants will know you by name. Your work-lifestyle balance is good. Only 2 registrars and a small number of medical students, enabling you to gain a lot more experience. And whatever run you do, there will always be opportunities to branch out and see a wide range of clinical scenarios. We do encourage hospital visits. It gives you an opportunity to come and meet with the RMO manager and ask any questions that you may have. The RMO manager will arrange for you to meet with one of the current RMOs so that you can have a tour of the hospital. It also gives you an opportunity to ask them any questions that you may have about what it's really like to work here. You can arrange a visit by either calling me or giving me an email. A made successful applicant. Here in South Canterbury, we do not conduct interviews. We therefore place a lot of importance on your cover letter, as this is your opportunity to tell us about yourself, why Timaru, and what you can bring to our medical team. With only a couple of registrars and a relatively small RMO cohort, candidates need to have a reasonable level of academic achievement and clinical competence. Candidates must also be able to demonstrate the following characteristics: supportive team member, being self-confident but aware of your own limitations, clear understanding of the Timaru Hospital environment, flexible attitude and resilience, excellent communication skills, and a strong desire to work here. When we receive your applications, we take the following into consideration, which is your cover letter, CV or resume, personal statement, references. We look out for any outstanding comments, your ACE score, your clinical competence and academic achievement, ties to the region and community, plus family, and your fit to the region, and active interest in Timaru. Once we receive the applications, I review every single one of them, and I do this over the following week from receipt of your applications. After this, we've got 2 weeks to rank all of the applications, and this is done in conjunction with our pre-vocational educational supervisors. During this time, if you've got any questions, you're more than welcome to contact me. Good luck, and thank you for your time. I'll now pass over to Sabrina and Emily, and they will go through their presentation.
Okay, so we'll just tell you guys a little bit more about Timaru Hospital, I guess, from our point of view. We'll just start off by, I guess, talking through the basic runs that we've got.
So yeah, I'm one of the PGY ones. So far I've done an orthopedics run, and I'm now settling into my gen med run. And here we do sort of 2 medical runs and 2 surgical runs as a PGY one. So medical runs are either gen med or sort of our older person's health rehab stint. And then surgical is orthopedics, which is a lot of fun and really hands-on. And then the general surgical run, which is also super hands-on, lots to do there. In terms of, the PGY2 things, so you can obviously choose from any of the 4 you've done in PGY1, but then there's a few more options available. So you can do O&G, women's health, peds, psych, GP, anaesthetics, and then of course a couple of relief runs along the way.
So in terms of structure for the week, I think it's quite similar to a lot of other hospitals. In any quarter, you probably work 2 to 3 weekends more when you're not doing night shift. And then you usually have a long day on either surgical or medical, one day most weeks. Then after you've been working for 6 months, you start to do night shifts, which is quite a unique feature of Timaru. I think it's something people should consider when they're applying to work here. It's a huge opportunity, but it's also a lot of responsibility. We work in pairs and work either 3 nights or 4 nights, mainly in ED, but also covering the rest of the hospital as well.
So being a small centre where there's only a couple of registrars around, you're naturally in pretty close proximity to your consultants. So you see them every day, they get to know your name. And as a result, I think they're way more invested in you, and therefore there's heaps of opportunities to grow and lots of teaching available here. It's what you make of it. So we have 2 sort of more formal sessions of teaching per week, which can sort of range as ED, medical, surgical, but then there's heaps of opportunities just day in, day out. So there's heaps of stuff on the ward. You could get stuck into doing pleural taps or lumbar punctures. There's obviously hospital run courses. So we do ACLS, you can do the prompt courses. There's probably a few others I'm not aware of, but and then I've just come straight from a clinic where I've been doing cardiology with one of my bosses. So there's heaps of opportunities to get stuck in clinics. And then obviously if you're looking to stay in the region a little longer, then we've got 2 orthopedic registrars at the moment, and there's just been an announcement that we're having general surgical registrars in the future as well. So I think there's going to be a couple of those too. Yeah, so more opportunities to stay here as a junior reg as well.
I guess just as important as work is the things that you can do outside of work, and Timaru is a pretty cool little place to be. one of the top 10 beaches in New Zealand, so they say, is Caroline Bay, possibly because it's one of the only good beaches nearby, but it's a pretty good one. There's a weeknight quiz that happens at the sale, definitely pretty fabulous. Another opportunity to compete against the medical consultants. We're also a perfect gateway to most of the ski fields in the South Island, in particular quite a few of the club ski fields like Dobson and Roundhill that you might not get so much of a chance to access if you're living anywhere else. We're also really close to Tekapo and Aoraki National Park, and Central Otago and Queenstown are pretty fabulous places to spend a bit of time as well.
I think they call Timaru the Riviera of the South, so something to consider. Boring but important things about working here. So free parking. So I came from Christchurch and there's no parking anywhere, and free parking is just fantastic. So something to consider. There's no traffic in Timaru, so your daily commute is about 5 minutes, and I live on the opposite side of town to the hospital, so more sleep in. It's fairly central in the South Island, so like Sabrina was saying, it's pretty easy to get out of Timaru for a weekend away, which is, work-life balance, really important. Free parking again, and I guess low cost of living is really important. So compared to big cities like Wellington and Auckland, it's a lot easier here to save. Boring, but got to think about the future, and so yeah, it's all important things to consider.
The day in life of a house surgeon in Timaru would mainly fall into two categories, really, whether you're doing a medical run or a surgical run. Everything here in general starts at 7:45, although there are a few exceptions to that, with a handover from the night team and the long day team the day before. If you're on a medical run, then there's a sort of a meeting with all of the teams and the consultants before you round on your patients. And that could then involve doing a number of clinical procedures depending on who you've got. Being quite a small hospital, it means that our medical consultants are quite general, and they tend to see everything from renal, cardiovascular, respiratory, so you can imagine that you do any procedures related to any of those specialties. And then with the medical run in the afternoon, maybe a continued ward round, or maybe going to a clinic or something like that. In terms of a surgical run, the rounding in the morning is quite a lot quicker. You 2 or 3 days a week will have an operating theatre where without a registrar you are the first assistant, so you're absolutely essential to theatre happening in Timaru. They also have regular clinics, and they have quarterly audits and research opportunities, so there's plenty of time to do that stuff as well.
So these are just a couple of the reasons why we love Timaru. So for me, I just love the hands-on opportunities. I get sick of doing discharge summaries pretty quickly, and I know a lot of friends in bigger centres that they feel like a lot of their day is just taken up with paper pushing and discharge summaries, which doesn't do it for me. I love being able to work closely with the consultants. You're going to get a good reference by the time you leave here because they know you so well. There's an awesome work-life balance, so more often than not you can get away on time. Like I said, it's pretty easy to get out of Timaru for a weekend away, especially with leave, etc. I love the responsibility. I feel like I make a difference when I see patients here in Timaru, and my actions have consequences to their care. And I think my favourite thing is that we're a super close team of house officers. So there's only about 25 of us for the whole hospital. And yeah, as a result, you get some really good friendships there, and we can count on each other to have each other's backs. And it's really fun having lots of the UK doctors come over for like a holiday in Timaru Hospital. So it's really fun to hear about their experiences overseas as well. So yeah, I think you get a lot out of being in Timaru.
One thing I just wanted to ask about, Penny, was what's the leave application process like in Timaru?
It's not too bad. I try my very best to give leave where I can. Sometimes I can't approve it immediately if it's going into the next quarter, but once I've drafted the next roster, I do try my best.
Great, thank you.
Not often that I decline it.
I was saying, you almost always get your leave. I think it's pretty epic.
what's the food like in the hospital itself? Is it free? Is it good?
The cafe has just been taken over by a new, is it called Food and Me?
Compass.
Your Compass Food. And it's been quite the change from a lot of browns and slightly less brown to like quite a wide variety of food. And I feel like there's quite a few more options that allow you to continue on your day feeling a bit refreshed rather than weighed down into your afternoon. So I think that the food is a bit of a...
There's been an epic improvement.
I even had like a wee brunch, fresh bread roll this morning, and it was so nice.
You can get eggs Benny.
And it's not a sausage roll or a cheese roll.
Yeah. Salad bar, soup, curries, heaps. It's great.
Yeah.
One other question I had is just around accommodation. So for TIs who are lucky enough to get a PGY1 position in Timaru, but they don't have any family ties or links to the region, how easy is it to find rental properties? Is there a notice board between the house officers and registrars, possibly SMOs for accommodation and those things?
Yeah, kind of word of mouth. I think a lot of, I know quite a few of the bosses who've, had houses and flats and things available. And so, I think it's pretty easy to find accommodation in New Zealand, in Timaru rather.
And I think that having quite a high turnover of at least overseas house officers, they tend to try and pass on their accommodation to some other people starting. So I think that it would be quite likely that for the new people starting, some of the people leaving would be able to help them finding accommodation. I think Timaru is a place that quite a lot of house officers do decide to take the plunge into the housing market, because while it is pretty hot here in comparison to Auckland, where you're looking at $1 million house, I think sort of 300,000 would get you an entry-level sort of house here.
I'd just like to say that I think South Canterbury is an amazing opportunity for PGY1s that are wanting to take on that extra responsibility. We ask you to step up, but we ask the consultants to, step down to meet you halfway. I think if you spent 2 years with us, you leave a lot more rounded and a lot more prepared decision-making wise. I think it sets you in really good stead for your future.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think Emily said it before, I may not have seen the same volume of patients that someone in Auckland has seen, but I think I will have done a lot more clinical procedures than they have done, and will have been expected to be more responsible for the decisions and how that impacts their care. It's definitely a place that if you're willing to use it, you can get some huge gains from being here. It is a really friendly community. I think in general we get along really well with everybody that we work with, and the consultants here are really keen to teach people if they want to learn.
In terms of the normal presentations that you'll get at Timaru, what's the population and demographic for Timaru? Like, I'm not too sure what those numbers would be just off.
We have the oldest DHB in the country.
Right.
So we see a lot, like especially in Gen Med, obviously that you see a lot of older people presenting. I'd say predominantly it's a Pākehā population, but there are smaller groups of Māori and Pacifica families around. But yeah, I'd say that's probably largely the demographic. Yeah.
Well, I'll close off our presentation today, and it's the last one in our series. It's the 18th webinar that we've been able to do over the last 6.5 weeks. I'd just like to say ka pai, Penny for coming along, and kei te pai to Emily and Sabrina for making yourselves available to talk about what it's like to work at South Canterbury District Health Board, particularly Timaru Hospital. So it's been fantastic to understand what that's like. Thanks very much for coming along, and all the best. And I hope that you guys stay safe over the next 48 hours while there's all the bit of madness that's going down in the Canterbury region. But I'm sure you guys will be fine, and thanks very much.
Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you.
Kia ora. Haere rā. Have a good night.